hot off the press.
I've been doing things that they told me I should never do. I've been doing things that they told me I could never do now. Never do, I could never do. I've been looking back and I'm the only one who ever knew. My dreams began to turn out.
Our very first DEXA scan. This is something that I wanted to do after my show, and I thought it may be a helpful YouTube video. So I thought I would document and share it with you all. This is actually my first DEXA scan ever. In the past, from what I've seen, they're pretty expensive, so I have never really taken the time to actually get my own DEXA scan, but there's actually a facility at UBCO, the university here in Kelowna, and they only charge $60, so obviously a bit of a no-brainer, and I wish I knew about it a little bit sooner. Otherwise, I would have actually gotten my DEXA maybe last year at the beginning of my cut, but that's okay. This is something that I will probably do again at a later date, maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, I'm not too sure yet. We'll kind of see where things are at. So as you guys saw in the video, basically I'm just lying down and the machine's going over me. It's looking at my bone mineral density, my BMI, and my body fat percentage. So this is definitely the gold standard if you are wanting to know this type of information. So really helpful, and just a good way to put things into perspective, especially if you are looking to change your body composition related goals. It definitely puts things into perspective for you. So the reason why I actually myself, as of right now with where I'm at in my fitness goals, wanted to take the time to get a DEXA scan is because I'm having a hard time being objective with analyzing my current body composition. As of right now, I am sitting about 6 pounds above my stage weight, and I feel like I've put on a pretty good amount of muscle as well as body fat, where I was kind of leaning towards wanting to maintain my current body composition. And typically after you're done competing, trying to gain around 10% of your stage weight is a good ballpark, is a good range that you want to try to focus on. So by me being about 6 pounds above my stage weight, that's actually only about 6% of an increase. So when you hear that and you understand from a coaching perspective, objectively, that's not enough of a weight gain. And myself, from a bias standpoint, I really was feeling a little bit stubborn with gaining any more weight post-show. I knew that getting a DEXA would be very helpful to just get me back into that objective framework and understand that I need to focus on doing what's right for my body versus what I feel is right from an aesthetic standpoint. And that is very tough to find that balance, right? A lot of people, especially competitors, they really want to maintain a level of leanness after they are done competing. And this is something that I have experienced post-show over the last few weeks here. So these results definitely put things into perspective for me to understand that while I'm at a pretty healthy body composition overall, maintaining this level of body fat percentage is not gonna be something that is in line with my long-term longevity goals that I have for myself. So let's go over some of these results here. And I'll put it up on the screen here versus me just like showing it to you guys like this so it looks a little bit better. I'm an open book. I'll share these results with you guys. I haven't taken the time to like dive into things like line by line, but a couple of things that stand out to me that the physician at the university pointed out to me, we'll go over that today. So the first page here, we are looking at our bone mineral density.
Okay, so here are your results. So page 1 is bone mineral density. So this point here is you compared to people of the same age and sex as you. So the dark blue line would be if you were like average, and then this one would be above average. So
that's where I am?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Which is great.
Yay.
Kind of typical if you're a trainer, like plenty of bone loading and everything.
For sure.
obviously means that you're at a reduced fracture risk.
And this is something I am very happy with. You can see here that the darker blue section just shows the average amount, and my bone mineral density is in the lighter blue section, and that is above average. So for where I'm at with my age, my bone mineral density is above average, which I'm very happy to see. For those who don't know, lifting weights is extremely important to prevent osteoporosis. You're at risk of experiencing bone fractures if you aren't consuming enough protein. There are a lot of risks involved with having a lower bone mineral density amount. So I'm very thrilled to see that I'm above average. Good indication that what I am doing with my nutrition, with my training, is definitely promoting good, healthy bones, and gives me that reassurance to keep going with what I am currently doing in that regard. The second page here, this is where we are looking at our body composition.
So this one here is you compared to, again, people of the same age and sex as you, body fat percentage, average. This would be if you were above average, but like obviously for body fat that would be the wrong way. Very, very lean because you are below average here. Normal on the BMI, and then you can actually have a look at the image here. This gives you a rough estimation of like where your adipose tissue is stored. So pretty typical, like for females, everyone stores it around like hip and thighs. Your total body fat percentage today is 13.5. Yeah, you can have a look at kind of breakdown between any limb differences. So there's a slight difference between your right and left arm, like that's kind of fairly normal though. And then legs are pretty similar.
So this is, typically the more exciting stuff here. And then the graph on the right, that's where it showcases my body fat percentage. So as you can see here, my body fat percentage is 13.5%. I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit closer to 20% because as a female, to be in a more healthy range where you're not too lean, typically you want to be within about 18 to 21%. Even at 21%, you're still considered to be above average when it comes to leanness. Anything that is below 10% is extremely lean, and obviously, that's where we start to see that law of diminishing returns from a hormonal standpoint. A lot of women will experience the female triad where their hormones take a hit, they're in a calorie deficit, bone mineral density takes a hit, and a lot of women do lose their period when they're at that point. So luckily enough, these results kind of indicate that we aren't there. I haven't lost my period. Clearly my bone mineral density is at a good amount. Paying attention to my hunger signals and how much I'm eating, I do feel like, from a hormonal standpoint, things look pretty good. I am going to go get some blood work done probably in the next couple of weeks here just to ensure that, what I am speculating is in line with the actual results. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that if you guys are interested. But even with that understanding, still it's important to note that 13.5% of body fat from a female's perspective, that's still pretty lean. It's still pretty lean to the point where that's something that you might not want to sustain long term. And I understand that. So I was a little disheartened at first because I was hoping that my body fat percentage was a little bit higher so that way I can maintain where I am currently at. And obviously, objectively, I understand that that likely wasn't the case, but I think, just from that experience, it's good to understand and go through that even for myself as a coach, because it just kind of goes to show you how difficult it truly is to be objective when you are analyzing your own progress. When I was talking to some friends and I was talking to Kyle in hopes that I would be closer to 20% of body fat, people were kind of laughing in my face. They're like, Kristen, you're not 20% body fat. You're still like pretty shredded, striations in your abdominals, my quads and my shoulders, good indication that, I'm still fairly lean to the point where it's kind of an unsustainable percentage. And objectively, them analyzing me, they can even without having the results of the DEXA, understand no, you're not 20% body fat, you're a lot leaner than you may think. So it's good to note that, right? That we individuals, even myself as a coach, we're so biased with our results. And that's why at times it's very helpful to have a coach, to have a objective set of eyes, because we are hard on ourselves and we can often skew our own judgment. And even myself as a professional coach, I've been doing this for over a decade now. It's even tough for me to still be objective with analyzing my own progress. So I'm really glad that I got these results because, like I said, it puts things into perspective to understand that, you know, even though I like how I look right now, it's not going to be a sustainable amount. And because of that, I need to be okay with intentionally gaining a little bit of weight. So that leads me into how much weight. I've already done some projections of how much I think I should weigh to be around 18% of body fat. And that's going to be roughly between 115 pounds and 118 pounds. So if I'm at 110 right now, I need to intentionally gain about another 5 to 8 pounds, and that way I will be within a more reasonable body fat percentage range. So I'm going to kind of focus on that over the next few months here, and when I get up to that targeted goal weight, I'm going to go get another scan, and then we'll see where we're at with our body fat percentage and see if my projections that I have crunched are actually in line with what I should be. So it's very interesting because I kind of did the opposite way, where I actually didn't know what my body fat percentage was at my stage weight, which was about 105 pounds, 104 and 105 pounds. And if my numbers are correct here, I was likely around 8% body fat, which is actually extremely lean for a female. You know, to be extremely lean for a female, typically it's less than 12% body fat. So for me to kind of guesstimate that I was around 8% body fat, you know, pretty good indication that me trying to maintain at only 5 pounds above that, like, what was I thinking, essentially? So I don't know, I found that this was actually very helpful in a way for me to kind of get out of my head, drop the ego a little bit, and understand that me putting on a little bit more weight, as much as I may not want to from an emotional standpoint, you know, it's important and it's something that my body needs right now. So for you and your situation, you know, sometimes seeing results like this just might allow you to put things into perspective for your results. So that way you can kind of maybe adjust things, adjust your goals, adjust your program as needed. Because sometimes when we are casting judgment on our own progress, especially if you're doing this on your own and you don't have a coach, like I said, I did it myself, it's very tough to still be objective with analyzing your progress and also doing what's best for you and your body and taking the ego and the emotion out of it. Not easy to do whatsoever. So that's basically it for the results here. There are some other things that are kind of interesting, like my BMI was actually at a more normal range. The physician said that she was a little bit surprised to see that, just because a lot of people who do have a lot of muscle on their frame, their BMI typically does indicate that you're kind of overweight. So that can be another indicator as to why my body fat percentage is a little bit lower than it should be. And that's very normal for a lot of people, where a lot of people who do have a lot of muscle, their BMI typically does hover closer to the overweight option. That doesn't always mean that you're overweight. And that right there, if you have a lot of muscle, kind of a good reasoning at times as to why the BMI alone isn't always the best representation when you're trying to analyze your body composition. So having all of these different variables can be really helpful with putting things into perspective. So going forward, like I said, over the probably next 2 to 3 months here, I'm going to kind of continue to take a slower approach, where I'm going to intentionally continue to gain weight. And we're going to try to get up to maybe around 115 to 118 pounds. And then once we reach that point and we're maintaining at that point, I'll go get another scan, and we'll kind of see if that is in line with a more reasonable and sustainable body fat percentage. So that is it, everybody. Hopefully you found this to be helpful. If you did, you know, if anyone has any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, send me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions. If there's anything that I didn't talk about today that you would like me to elaborate on, as always, just let me know. But yeah, thank you all so much for checking out this week's video. If you liked it, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.